Kia ora koutou, ko Victoria McLean and Toka Wingawa, and welcome to another interview with a candidate for the ITP National Board. Today, I'm joined by Daniel Merriott, who is really, really familiar with ITP, having worked for us as an organisation before. So he's got a good grasp and understanding of what we do and why we're here. Kia ora, Daniel.
Hey, Vic, how you doing?
Great. Thanks for joining me and for giving me the time for this interview. As you know, I've given you 4 questions and I'm just going to rattle through those. So the first one is, what are you proud of?
So I'm really proud of my team. So we've grown a small business over the last 4 years, like everyone else. I think started just the 2 of us doing everything. And now we're expanding out. But I think the more interesting bit is as we add new people into the team, they get to prove me wrong, which might be a strange thing to be proud of, but I actually view it as a good sign. So one example of that would be, we weren't looking for an intern, but we hired an intern. We had a perception that we needed a senior professional, and we took a chance on someone who really went above and beyond to apply, and we could not be happier. It's transformed our thinking around how we train ourselves, how we train our clients. So yeah, it's been transformational. So happy to be proved wrong. I'm quite proud that I've got a team that can prove me wrong.
That's awesome. And I really, really hope you can convince many other employers that they can take on more junior staff rather than always having to employ someone really senior and really experienced.
Yeah, happy to share that story.
That'd be great. But the next question I have for you is, what makes you happy?
Now, I'm a simple guy in this regard. So I work with my wife. We both work from home. We actually have separate offices, which is great. But when we actually get some downtime and we just get to spend some time together, that's what I look forward to. That's what replenishes my energy. So I don't mind if that's going out for a tramp, going to the movies, dinner with friends, or a glass of wine and just watching something on Netflix. That chance to just slow down and just be with someone you love, I think is awesome. That's what more do you want?
Nice. That's awesome. Well, getting to the serious stuff now. In the written questions, we asked you to share how you think ITP can offer the most value to our community. Expanding on this, what do you see as the single most important thing that we as ITP need to be focusing on today?
So in my written answer, I said that we could be thinking about ITP providing a complementary baseline level of training for professionals. And that really comes about because there are a lot of people out there who either work for themselves and don't have a lot of time or capacity to think about their own professional development. There are a lot of people who work for organizations where they don't necessarily get to have the time or don't get a great experience with professional development. But ongoing professional development is probably the single most important thing I think any professional body can do. So that might be something like a baseline level of training. I don't think it needs to compete with employers. It doesn't need to compete with education providers. But we have, for example, a body of knowledge for certified technician, or there's the body of knowledge for chartered IT professionals. They're both pretty broad. If you've gone through an IT degree, you've probably learned those things. But we have so many people that's not the path they've taken. So how do we help raise the knowledge and education in there? That's part of raising professionalism, but supporting professional development. And that might be a starting place. You could go further. There are other models around there, like, for example, the digital professional body of knowledge, which covers things like ways of working, basics of architecture, relatively baseline things that I think most professionals would really benefit from having access to learning. So that could be something that could complement what employers are offering, or it might be something that provides a step up for those who aren't getting it from their employer.
Nice. I really like that. And yeah, I have had a look at that body of training and wondered how we could potentially bring that in. So we're well aligned in our thinking there.
There is no provider of training in New Zealand for the Open Group's digital professional body of knowledge.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
Good to know. Good to follow up after this call. So the last question, the $1 million or $1 billion question, if you had a bottomless bucket of cash, what would you have ITP investing in to benefit either our members or the wider community or even Aotearoa New Zealand as a whole?
Oh, look, there's an easy answer to this, which is we buy everyone a ticket home. But if we had a bottomless pit, something I would love to be able to do would be to subsidize those IT professionals who are working in small organizations. They might be the only IT professional. They might be one of a really small group, often undervalued. They move on pretty quickly. So that's a challenge for the individuals in those roles. There's some great opportunities to learn, but not necessarily a long-term career option. But those organizations need those people. Digitally enabling organizations, particularly small organizations, is a huge factor. So if we could subsidize some of those roles to help people stay in those roles and make them more attractive for people to go into as a valid career option, think about the impact that would have for a huge number of small businesses in a whole range of sectors. That wouldn't be cheap, so you would need that bottomless bucket. but yeah, well, there's a place to start.
Nice. Well, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate this, helping our members get to know you a bit better. And I'll say ka kite. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Vic. Cheers.